Bula. My name is Matt. Today I'll be guiding through the answering of exam questions. I'll be showing you some tricks and some techniques in answering exam questions. Not only that, I will also give you some notes or some tools that you need in answering exam questions. Let's have a look at some exam type questions. Today we'll be looking at 2024 paper, and 2024 paper question number 1 says the product, I'll just write the question down, the product of m to the power of 6 times m to the power of 2 is equal to what? Let's have a look at some properties and some information regarding this value. Okay, now whenever you come across equations or whenever you come across expressions that has a base and an index, this is what you call a base, this is called what you call an index. Whenever you come across a base and an index expression, then we will need to apply the law of indices. Let's look at some laws, just a little notes that will guide us in answering that questions or in answering those type of questions. Let's look at some notes regarding this value. Okay, the law of indices. What does the law of indices says? Law 1 says, or law number 1 says that when a to the power of n times a to the power of m, when you are multiplying with the same base, we get to add the powers. The powers get to be added. Question 2, or the second law, says if you are dividing with the same base, if we're dividing with the same base, a to the power of n divided by a to the power of m, remember a, n and m can be any value. As long as they are written in this form, we will use the law. So the law says a to the power of n divided by a to the power of m. If we're dividing with the same base, the powers get to be subtracted. And the second law says a to the power of n, a power raised to another power to the power of m, a power raised to another power. According to the law, we multiply the power, a times m. And the fourth law says a, b to the power of m is equals to a to the power of m, b to the power of m. And the fifth law says a divided by b to the power of m is equals to a to the power of m divided by b to the power of m. And the last law says a to the power of 0 is equal to 1. These are some fundamental laws that we will use whenever we come across any expression that has a base and an index. Now, let's use these in answering this question. Now, how can we answer this question? So let's answer this question. The question is saying, what is the value of m to the power of 6 times m to the power of 2? Now, we identified that the expression is m and m, they have the same base. According to the law, if you multiply with the same base, what happens to the power? If we multiply with the same base, so that will be the first law. If we multiply the same base, what happens to the power? Yes, we get to add the powers. So this is the same as m to the power of 6 times m to the power of 2. Since we're dividing with the same base, we add the power. That will be 6 plus 2, that is m to the power of 6 plus 2 is 8. And that is our answer. I want you to use the same concept, answer this question. Do this as an exercise. You can pause the video and answer this question. What is the expression of, let's say, y to the power of 18 times y to the power of 6? What is that equal to? You can pause the video. I give you 2 minutes to answer that, and your 2 minutes starts now. Okay, let's answer that. Using the same principle, since we are multiplying, remember the base can be m, can be x, can be a. It's a dummy variable. We can change it anytime we like. This is called variables. Variables, we can change it anytime we like. Now in this case it's y, so y to the power of 18 times y to the power of 6. Since they have the same base, what happens to the powers? According to the law, if you're multiplying with the same base, we add the powers. So this is same as y to the power of 18 times y to the power of 6. If we multiply with the same base, the powers get to be added. So this is 18 plus 6 is equals to y. What is 18 plus 6? Okay, since you, please remember that in the exam you are allowed to use calculator. If you are not sure, it's best that you press your calculator. So 18 plus 6 is 24. So this is y to the power of 24. Remember, in the exam we're aiming for the mark. It's better that if you are not sure with your answer, you are allowed to use calculators in the exam. Remember, at the end of the day, we're aiming for the mark. Let's answer question 1. Let's move on to question 2. Now, before we move on to question 2, let's just summarize question 1. So whenever we are asked to find the value of a question that has a base and index, we'll use the law of indices to guide us in solving the law or the questions that has a base and an index. The first law says if we multiply with the same base, we add the powers. The second law says if we divide with the same base, we minus the power. The third law says a power raised to another power, we multiply the powers. The fourth law says if two values are inside here, when two values are multiplied, and these two values are raised to the power of m. So whenever we open the bracket, this m goes to both of them. So it's a to the power of m, b to the power of m. Similarly, if two values are divided and the whole thing is raised to the power of m, when we open the bracket, this m goes there and also there. And importantly, anything to the power of 0 is 1. And this is mostly used a lot in mathematics. This is just some notes and some tools that you need inside in solving some mathematical problems. Let's look at question 2. Question 2 says, given that log, okay, now we're talking about log. Okay, question 2, hang on, I'll just write it down. So question 2, given log A divided by B is equals to log A minus log B, okay, that's the formula given, which expression is equal to log 6 minus log 2. Okay, so let's try and solve that question. Question 2 says the log A divided by log B is equals to log A minus log B. And they have given us an expression saying log 6 minus log 2. Okay, before we answer this question, let's look at some tools that we need when answering log. Before we touch on log, the opposite of base index is logarithm. Just like opposite of plus is minus, opposite of minus is plus, opposite of times is divide. Similarly, opposite of base index is logarithm. We'll look at that when we come across questions of logarithm. But for now, I just want you to understand that the opposite of base is logarithm. Okay, let's look at some questions on logarithm. What is the law of logarithm? Laws of logarithm says, the first law says log A plus log B plus, whenever we plus, it's saying log A times B. I'll repeat that again. Log A plus log B is equal to log A times B. Question log 2, or the second law, says log A minus log B. Since it's minus, then A and B is divided. That is the same as log A divided by B and bracket. And like I said, whenever, and the third law, we'll use it inside. Log A to the power of x. Whenever we are solving an expression that has log A to the power of x, then that is equal to, I'll put this x in front, this is x into log A. We'll use this inside, but mostly in a straightforward question they ask us the first law and the second law. The third law we will use it inside, but it's just a little bit tool that you need an information just to keep in mind on when to use it. I'll show you on how to use it when we come across questions dealing with those. But for now, we'll apply this concept in answering this question. Okay, let's answer that question. We'll use this concept. So since minus, we'll apply the second law. Second law says log A minus log B is equal to log A divided by B. So in this case, since it's log 6 minus log 2, that is the same as log 6 divided by 2. And log 6 divided by 2, what is 6 divided by 2? 6 divided by 2 is 3. So your answer is log 3. Use the same concept. You can answer this question. Try this out. Concept is the same. What is the value of log 18 minus log 6? You can pause the video and use the same concept. I give you 2 minutes. Your 2 minutes starts now. Okay, let's try and solve this question. This question is saying log 18 minus log 6. Now log 18 minus log 6, since it's minus, we'll use the second law. And second law says log 18 minus log 6, that is equal to log 18 divided by 6. And 18 divided by 6 is what? Like I said, if you're not sure, please use the calculator. At the end of the day, we're aiming for the mark. So 18 divided by 6 is 3. So our answer in this case is log 3. Now that you get the concept, that's how we solve, or that's how we deal with base index and a logarithm. Same concept. Whenever you come across logarithm, always see very particular on the sign. If it's minus, we divide, and if it's plus, we multiply a and b. A and b can be any value. As long as it's written like this, we'll use the law depending on the questions they ask you in the exam. Let's look at another exam questions. Let's move on. Question 3. Question 3 deals with root or square root. Now square root comes under surge. Okay, let's look at surds. Which of the following surds is equal to that? Okay, is equal to, this is question number 3, square root of 4 times 3. Okay, let's try and solve that question. Which of these value is represented as that? Now, this is base index, this is logarithm, and this is surds. Let's look at some information around surds. So, information around surge. Let's look at laws of square root. The law of square root says square root of a, the first law says square root of a times square root of b is equals to square root of ab. Keep that in mind. That's the very important formula when it comes to surge. The second law says square root of a divided by square root of b is equals to square root of a divided by b. Whole thing is square root. And the third law says square root of a times square root of a. Now square root of a times square root of a is just like a times a. What is a times a? We know that a times a is a squared. Similarly here, a square root of a times square root of a is square root of a squared. And we know that the opposite of squared is square root. So they cancel out. So we say that square root of a times square root of a is a. The square root cancels out. You're left with a. So this is square root of a times square root of a is equals to a. Those are the information in square root. In answering any square root questions or surds question, we'll use this law. Now let's use this concept in answering this question. Okay, this question is related to this square root of ab, square root of ab, a times b is ab, square root of ab is equals to square root of a times square root of b. Okay, so I can rewrite this as saying square root of 4 times 3 is square root of 12. Now in many exams they can ask you find the value, simplified value of square root of 12. Now whenever you come across this kind of question, square root of 12, you need to look at two values, or you need to look at a square value inside 12. Meaning 1 times 12. 1 times 12 is 12. But any of these numbers are square value. What is square value? Square value is a number squared to give you those numbers, like square root of 3. 3 squared is 9. A square value. Any square value here? Like 12. A number that is squared to give you 12? No. Okay, let's look at 2. 2 times 6 gives you 12. All the factors of 12. Factors of 12 are 1 and 12. 2 and 6 gives you 12. Any of these numbers are square number? Meaning a number that is multiplied to itself to give you that number? No. What are other factors of 12? 4 and 3. 4 times 3 is 12. Any of these number are factor, a square number? Yes, 4. 4, a square of 4, a number that is multiplied to itself to give you 4 is 2. So 2 squared gives you 4. Okay, so this is our square number. And the whole thing is square rooted. That is why it's giving you that value. So I can break this down as saying square root of 4 times 3 is square root of 12. I can also break it down into this value. Square root of 3 or square root of 4 times square root of 3. Because square root of AB is the same as square root of A times square root of B using this law. So square root of 4 times 3 is equal to square root of 4 times square root of 3. But what is square root of 4? So square root of 4, you can press it in your calculator if you're not sure. So let's see, square root of 4. Square root of 4 is 2. So square root of 4 is 2 times square root of 3. And what do you understand about A times B? A times B is the same as AB. So 2 times square root of 3 is 2 root 3. So we can say, therefore, square root of 4 times 3 is the same as 2 root 3. I want you to use the same concept. Like I said, whenever you deal with square root, you use the square root law or the laws of square root. And in the exam, this kind of question is asked commonly. But it's very important. Many students don't understand this part because they are not sure which number to choose. So if I were you, I would choose a number that is square or a square number. So in this case, the square number to give me 12 is 4. So 4 times 3 gives me 12, and I know that square of 2 gives me 4. So I've chosen this number, and I can also break it down as square root of AB is equals to square root of A times square root of B. So square root of A is 2, or square root of 4 is 2 times 3. This is the same as 2 root 3. Use the same concept, answer this question. Do this as an exercise. Let's say square root of 27. What is your answer in finding square root of 27? I'll give you 2 minutes, answer that question now, and your 2 minutes starts now. Okay, let's try and solve that. Concept is the same. We look at values or the factors of 27. We're looking at vectors of 27, but we're also looking for a square number. So 1 times 27 is 27. Any other number? Can 2 go to 27? No. 3. Can 3 go to 27? Yes. So 3 times 9 gives you 27. So 9 3 is 27. And ask yourself, is there any number between these two is a square number? Yes, 9. So I can break this down as saying square root of 3 times 9, I can break it down. Square root of AB is the same as square root of A times square root of B. So I can say that this is square root of 3 times square root of 9. This is square root of 3 times, what is square root of 9? Square root of 9 is 3. Yes, 3. So square root of 3 times 3 is 3 square root of 3. So I can say that this is square root of 9 times 3 times 9 is that. Or I can say, therefore, square root of 27 is equal to 3 root 3. And that is your answer. Any questions? No? Okay, let's move on to our last question. Simplify. Okay, hang on, I'll just get a paper. Okay, simplify. Write this down. 3 to the power of 2x over 3 to the power of x. Okay, let's try and answer that out. 3 to the power of 2 divided by 3 to the power of x. How can we solve that? Since they have the same base, what does the law says? If you're dividing with the same base, okay, sorry, I'll just move it here so that we can use the law. Okay, the law says, since they have the same base, the law says, since they are divided, 8 to the power of n divided by 8 to the power of m is equal to a to the power of n minus m. Since they have the same base, I can say that this is 3 to the power of 2x. What's the number in front of this x? Yes, 1. So 3 to the power of 2x, since we divide, we minus, you put down the minus, and 1x. Many students forget this. Always use bracket. Okay, so let's simplify. So this is 3 to the power of 2x. Negative times positive is negative. 1 times x is x. Okay, whenever you open the bracket, always use this as our guide. Positive times a positive will give us a positive value. Negative times a negative will give us a positive value. But the difference is when I multiply the two. Positive times a negative will give me a negative. We'll use it here. So negative times a positive will give me a negative. 1 times 1x is 1x. So let's simplify. 3 to the power of 2x minus 1x. Meaning to say that if I say this is same as variables or like terms, if I say 3 apple plus 2 apple. So 3 apple plus 2 apple is what? 3 apple plus 2 apple? Yes, 5 apple. Apple in our case is A. Now if I tell you this, 3 apple plus 2 orange. Apple and orange. So 3 apple plus 2 orange is equal to 3 apple plus 2 orange. We cannot add them. These are called unlike terms. For apple and apple, we call that like terms, and for apple and orange, we call that unlike terms. We'll use this concept here. So 2x minus 1x. So 2x minus 1x, since they're both x, we can say that 2 apple minus 1 apple is 2 apple minus 1 apple? Yes, 1 apple. In our case, apple is x. So therefore, we can say 3 to the power of 2x over 3 to the power of x is equal to 3 to the power of x. And that is your answer. Use the same concept. You can answer this question. Concept is the same. Try and use the same concept in answering this question. do this as an exercise. You can pause the video and answer it. 4 to the power of 6x over 4 to the power of 2x. You can pause the video and try that out. I give you 2 minutes, and your 2 minutes starts now. Okay, let's try and answer that question. So first we need to identify the equation. The problem is 4 to the power of 6x over 4 to the power of 2x. Since they are on the same base, we apply the second law. So 4 to the power of 6x divided by 4 to the power of 2x. Since we're dividing with the same base, we subtract the power. So this is 4 to the power of 6x minus 2x. So that is, let's open the bracket, 4 to the power of 6x, negative times a positive. Negative times a positive will give me a negative. So this is minus 2x. So this is 4 to the power of 6x minus 2x. So this is equals to 4 to the power of 6x minus 2x. Since this is x, this is x. 6 apple minus 4 apple. 6 apple minus 4 apple is, 6 apple minus 2 apple is 4 apple. In our case, it's 4 apple. So we can say, therefore, 4 to the power of 6x over 4 to the power of 2x is equal to 4 to the power of 4x. That's the end of our discussion today. Just to summarize, for question number 1, whenever you come across base index, we use the base index formula or the laws of index. If we come across logarithm, we'll use the laws of logarithm. And in this case, it's most dealing with problems that deals with indices, but in more structured view. So since it's a fraction or base divided by a base, we use the same concept, but we minus the power. In this case, they have an additional x. Concept is the same. Similarly, in this case, I hope I have answered our questions. I also loaded up this in our group, Learning Hub. If you have any questions, please you can drop me in a message, then I can reach out to you and answer your question. There is also a quiz that is coming up in your assignment, which your assignment is due every week, and also your quiz to gauge yourself and make you feel confident in answering exam type questions. Let's stop over there. Thank you.